Recording? Oh, there he is.
Yep.
I just didn't see the little red.
We have a few things to cover. I want to start off with the data center in Olds. It's a $10 billion project. Olds is a small town here in Alberta. Everything was put together. The paperwork, the application.
Is Paul breaking up for either of you?
What's that?
Is Paul breaking up for either of you or just me?
Just you.
Breaking up a lot. Okay. I will just deal with it.
Okay.
I know I can hear him well. There's no break up here. I don't know about Audrey Lynn.
Okay.
But...
I'll try plugging, see if that helps at all.
Sure.
Okay.
Turn off your camera, maybe.
Okay.
So the data center in Olds, $10 billion infrastructure project. The applications were made. The government said, yeah, sure, go for it. And everybody's all excited because it's bringing industry and Alberta's going to be able to be relevant in the AI space, blah, blah, blah. Well, Wayne Peters yesterday uncovered that there are no signatures anywhere. None of it is happening. And the generators, 600 of them, by the way, 600 diesel generators to be able to power it, have been ordered and built. And they're not using them for that data center. Probably going off to another one to supply power somewhere else. But the one in Olds, that's the biggest infrastructure project. It's supposed to be the biggest one in Canada. It's going to be a massive hyperscaler. It is not happening, but they are saying it's still happening. Yes, Audrey Lynn.
I read about that yesterday, and it isn't going through, not because it's not going through because it hasn't passed any environmental regulatory hoops.
The application was atrocious. It's not even complete.
Yeah, there's lots of holes in it.
Yep. But the government loves saying that it's going to go. Even the town of Olds denies that it's not happening. So that's an interesting development. As soon as Wayne told me that, I said, well, I wonder how many others are simply not happening. I mean, think about it. Remember, it was like 6 months ago, we were talking about how the incestuous pool of money just goes around in circles. NVIDIA is supposed to get $300 billion from OpenAI so that the chips can be built for Oracle so that OpenAI can rent them. Like it's just nonsense. And then we see also that NVIDIA had to come out with an investor's disclosure saying, oh yeah, all of those wonderful deals that we talk about that are going to give us hundreds of billions of dollars, nothing's for sure. We have to just let you know that everything is purely speculative. Makes me wonder how many other data centers aren't even going to, where there's not even an intent to build them, and how much money is being raised to build them. This is a massive, if that's the case, it's a massive money laundering scheme.
Outside of Edmonton, Meta is supposedly investing in a data center and supposedly going to make sure that it's reusing its water and a few other things that I can't remember the full article, but just that it's another one of these private government joint ventures to build a data center.
Yep.
Can you, I mean, you're pointing to it and it's probably obvious, but can you just say how the money laundering would work in a case, like how that
not any different from, remember we talked about the water strategic reserve coin that Trump was launching on July 7th?
I don't know if I
4th,
remember
sorry,
that.
4th. So it was July 4th. Hello, Maureen.
Hi.
I'll bring up the website again so that we can see. This was the initiative by Trump. He put it all over his social media and all that good stuff. Let me just bring up the Brave browser over here. And I think my OBS is a lot more firm nowadays. So here we go. Let me turn on some more lights here. AI is the thirstiest machine ever built. That's the headline for the Strategic Water Reserve. This was announced back in June, went live on July 4th because the Strategic Water Reserve framework was put into effect by Donald Trump. And this was all done up by Trump's team at Solana. So, oh, you're not seeing the. Okay, I have to fix that up. Solana is the coin, the network that is being issued. This coin went live. The exchanges have already dropped it because there's no money, no interest. But not before they made $5 billion. So in the same way, I think they're doing it with the data centers. I have always known that they were just going to fleece as much money out of the people as they possibly could on whatever they said was important. And I told Wayne, I said, you know full well that it's going to be a holy war next. And it's going to justify these data centers and people are going to fall for it. And he said, I don't think so. He thinks they're not going to fall for it. Well, they might not fall for the data centers, but I think they'll fall for the war. Take into consideration what's happening right now in Lethbridge, Alberta. I'm going to bring this up. It's kind of disturbing to listen to, but it's very, very indicative of what it is that people are dealing with right now. Is this the one? Yeah, okay, so this occurred. This is the language patterns that are being promoted on TikTok. Remember, there's always a reason we see things. You know, if someone were to talk like this years ago, TikTok would have silenced them. But this is in the algorithm for a reason.
Demand Deep Ibercoop, or however the fuck you pronounce your last name. You work at Circle K on the west side here, motherfucker. And you posted a video of a lady wearing high heels. She's wearing a mini skirt in the video with a short cut shirt. And in your video, which I'm not going to stitch because what you said is fucked, you said that she deserved something, that if it happened to her, she deserved it. Are you fucking kidding me? Based on what she wore? Listen, if you can't handle looking at women, maybe go back to your goat or your fucking country where the women are covered up like fucking garbage bags. Straight up, you fucking clown. But the fact you said that, I'm going to finish my coffee and I'm coming to Circle K. I don't know what shift you work, but me and you're going to have a fucking chat, fuckhead.
This is where we're at. The escalation is continuing, and I think that what's going to occur is this is the type of thing that we've seen already unfold in Britain. The unrest is increasing. People are going crazy. They are experiencing this kind of rage. That, to me, is an indication that they are inciting the violence. Why? Because, again, if someone were to talk like that years ago, it would have been silenced. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying whether or not it's right or wrong for him to feel that way. I'm not even saying it's right or wrong for people to want to deport those who do not align with their values. I am saying, however, there's a reason why his TikTok has millions of views. Mm-hmm. And it's not good. And so Yeah, I think that the people are going to fall for the holy war because it's like it boils down to the land. But if they can get the people to fight on the land, then they can bring in military force, martial law, and that justifies all kinds of land grabs. So I don't mean to start things off depressing, but that's where we're at right now. And Wayne and I do differ. Wayne thinks that the people are going to be okay, that they're going to resist the manipulation, and I do not see the evidence of that. What are people's thoughts about this? Like where we're at right now. I'm going to go back to this.
I feel some will resist, but I feel the majority will not.
The assessment is that this is, for me, this is definitely how a certain number of people feel, and they're projecting all their outrage, their holier than thou outrage on a group of people. It's pretty implicit without them saying who they are. You know who they're talking about. And my response is, what is, and maybe I'm being holier than thou, but what is the frequency that will make this irrelevant? That would be my question. And my response is, I see what he's saying. It is irrelevant.
And yet
It-
to the people in that community, it's not.
Mhm.
I understand that.
It sounds like they're really tired of being sidelined, marginalized, told that you have white privilege, like this is a total projection, that you have white privilege and that you should just shut up, and that a woman dressing as she chooses, that's a whole different conversation. But for this individual to make comment as to, well, this woman deserves to get, I'm going to guess he was going to say raped or whatever. That's not acceptable.
It is a no in my book too, Audrey Lynn. It's a definite no. And it's not going to come from a place of pushback, because that just adds fuel.
Then a boundary is what?
How does one express a boundary when the initiator is threatening force?
Yeah, that's an age-old question, isn't it?
I mean, that's very similar to I opened the door this morning to get crossbreeze in our home, and here plopped on the floor was a second notice from the census people saying, and a note on there, rather threatening, that it is the law and you will be fined if you don't fill out this card. My boundary still is, I need to know the law that requires that I must comply. And so, where is that boundary? I mean, I'm well aware that the next step is a summary fine that if I want to fight, which I don't even know that process, is going to cost me time and money and stress. And yet I'm still not being given the information that I request.
So you can fill out the form, Audrey Lynn. Just write over it.
Well, now it's all electronic. So, there's likely no place to go, I'm doing this under coercion.
Yeah.
I think that
Just
ship
write on it,
is
where is the law, and staple it to your door.
yeah,
Then they'll come back again.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the next time, well, they still keep on calling, which I don't comprehend how they got my phone number. I'm pretty sure that the next thing is the RCMP calling or showing up at the door going, here's your summons, but it's a summons to whom?
Yeah, they can't identify you. That's the thing, right? To whom does this apply? And they cannot identify you because you haven't filled it out. It's the chicken before the egg situation. No, you need my consent to be able to contract with me. That's how the law works, but they don't know that. They think the law works as in if you don't do something, there's going to be somebody with guns coming to make sure you do it. And the problem with that is that they don't realize that is the opposite of the law. That even in their own rule book, section 265 of the Criminal Code states that the exercise of authority over consent is defined as an assault, and it's a criminal charge to assault someone. And that's how they define assault, the exercise of authority over consent. So the threats that they are making are the clear indication that they have no concept of the law whatsoever. Because if they did, they wouldn't be breaking section 265 of the Criminal Code.
So would that, in that video then, wouldn't the first one who threatened the woman would be able to be charged because she's
Yes.
threatening her?
In fact, this is exactly why I say there are no such thing as good cops, because that's an assault. And if you were to call the police, they would laugh at you. Because they think also that the government has the authority over your consent. They actually think that the assault charges only apply to the people on the street, because they don't even know the law. They themselves cannot be even considered remotely close to a law enforcement officer, simply because they don't know the law. If I would love it, I do actually. I know that it's disheartening and discouraging. I also know that it's frightening to have someone with a restricted firearm at your door, Audrey Lynn, and I look forward to being there for it. We're going to be okay.
But there's so much going on like that. Like those who have come into our country have changed how everything runs. Like as in our Canadian politeness.
They haven't changed a thing. They are simply being themselves. And we, within our Canadian politeness, haven't stood our ground and said, we don't do things like that. We have a friend in Edmonton, South Edmonton. It's a couple of years ago now. He posted a video of himself confronting brown people, taking bags of garbage and throwing it into a wooded area close to his home. And he said, we don't do that here. You pick that stuff up and you put it back in your truck and you take it to the dump. Oh, sorry. No, don't be sorry. Just do the work. Unfortunately, there's not enough Canadians, whether they're white or brown or green or purple or fuchsia, who will stand up and say, this is wrong, sir, madam. Don't care about your skin color. This is wrong. I experienced that when I was in the apartment building in Edmonton. There was a family of East Indian descent in the basement, and I had to check my racism regularly because I checked my racism because they're people. And so I compared, am angry at them because they're brown, or am I angry at them because they leave garbage in their unit and it stinks the whole building up because they leave garbage? And then when I would complain to landlord and tenant, to the landlord themselves, to the property manager, I got laughed at. You can't make people change how they cook. Right. You're absolutely right. I cannot. And why do I have to lose the private enjoyment of my home? I wasn't strong enough to stand up, and the landlord wasn't strong enough to do his job.
So they were attributing it to how they cook, whereas you're saying that they were actually just leaving garbage.
It was both.
Okay.
There were times in which they would actually finally take out the garbage, and there would be like literally 10 to 15 large black garbage bags at the back. There were people who lived across the hall from them. Tenants, there was at least 3 tenants that moved because they couldn't tolerate the stink. They would, the tenants in question would leave their door open because it was too hot, because they had the heat cranked up to like full max. And I mean, you just waft through. I cleaned that unit when they did finally move out, and it was a health hazard.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it.
The property
You could-
manager could have easily called the health department on them and said, like, take care of this because I can't. And they didn't.
But there's a lot of that in the cities now.
Absolutely. Well, it's no different here. In this townhouse complex, there's at least 4 units that are available to rent, and the owner has no apparently desire to finish the renovations and get them full. And when they do fill them up, it seems to be like with people who
Don't care.
They care
Yeah.
even less than the previous ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
this
So
is. Oh,
although
go
I
ahead,
get
Maureen.
your point, Maureen, about the frequency and the energy, one can only hold a frequency and energy for so long until they're depleted and they just
I totally agree. This, this problem of neighbors is not, and neighbors invading the space of others is certainly not limited to Canada.
Mm.
And it is like an ongoing problem. And how do you deal with it? And what are the effective ways you can deal with it? We have, I mean, I have my stories. And it doesn't have to end. It's sound. The sound that invades my space, that drives me nuts. The sound of a generator running 24/7 right outside my house and invading my space so that I can't stay in it. And, I mean, that's my story. So every time we have an evacuation or something like that, or just a stop order from the electricity, it's for fire hazards. The winds come and then they turn off the electricity. So then everybody brings up their generators. And my next door neighbor bought a cheap one that is very loud and puts it right by my, and I've talked to her and, I mean, so this, I don't know how you solve these things when there's no citation involved, like the health department, when it becomes extreme in the health department. And I worked in adult protective services, and where you could smell the house from when you parked the car, out in front on the street, you could smell the house, and just hoarders, and the health department is the only avenue that we have here in the States. There's no law against hoarders, what you do inside your house, so what is the issue, I guess, here?
control. We tend to try to control that which we can. And so with a hoarder, they would be wanting to control their internal environment, and the safety of more stuff around them is like a protective shell.
Oh yeah, no, I believe me, the phenomena of hoarding. But the issue is that you have the power to leave. That's the only power you really have. That's then, because that's what I do. That's the only power I have. I can't force her to do something different unless and she won't listen to me. She won't hear me. And I've offered to help, I mean, blah, blah, all of those things. But tell me what is the point that is it just to let our stories out so they don't pressurize us on the inside, or, is it venting, or what is the point? I guess I came on late. I didn't hear.
I think what it is we're looking for answers on how to be present when the forces that would be continue to encroach upon our way of life. How is it that we can maintain our peace inside, the internal peace, when it is being bombarded? That's what this boils down to. And we take a look through history, and there are boiling points at which there gets to be the outrage that necessitates mass deportations, but that it's done in such a way that it becomes a standard going forward. See, there's a lot of talk about deportations, and there's a lot of deportations that has occurred, and I would say within the last 3 or 4 years in the States, that has been a concern, because there have been people who have had lives and established families that were being taken from their establishments and their families and separated, and that is unacceptable.
Well, I live in Minnesota, and we were on the receiving end of the highest per capita ICE agents. I mean, like by many times over. And they were not being, I was going to say they were not being targeted, but they were targeting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And whether they were immigrants or not, I mean, like you're saying, people that have been here 20, 30 years and have their papers, but also just anyone that was of a different color. And then anyone that was supporting started getting harassed, like them saying, we know where your house is, or driving by to let you know where your house is if you were caring, if you were showing up to witness, if you were. So whatever happened here is certainly not. And people were just disappeared, kids even, just they'd go in to do their meeting for their paperwork review, and they'd be sent off within the day or within 24 hours to someplace in Texas or someplace in.
What I have no idea what the answer to this is. I don't even have a clue. It breaks my heart to see, like, South America, when the women, was it Chile? Chile, Argentina, when they were taking away all these kids, just regimes coming in and just grabbing people, and they're murdered, they're gone, they're missing. And the women finally, years and years and years of the women protesting, where are my children? And being, just it continuing. It's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
And that's not just a recent phenomena that has happened in our human race, this are the brutalities of war or power or greed, all of it. It's just like, what do you do with it?
This is why I keep coming back to community. We have to build community. You are not going to have a functional nation unless you have people within your community that you can trust. There was a gentleman, remote British Columbia, the northern part of the island, in fact. I think the largest town in that area might be 1,500 people. And he had been living in peace on his own land, working the land, tilling it, growing food in his community for 25 years. And halfway through his time that he has had on that island, living his life in peace, in 2017, woke up one day to Child Protective Services on his property, dragging his daughter away. Why? Because he went to a town council meeting and expressed his concern for how they were restricting, not him, but the businesses within that town from being able to do business with him because he was providing food for restaurants and local shops. They took his daughter when she was 13 years old, and he has never seen her since. I met him in 2022. And the only reason why that can occur is because none of his customers came to his aid. Nobody in his community said, "Oh, that's not right." He was the only one. And ended up suffering in lawfare for 10 years, trying to get his daughter back. And the only reason that can happen is because the community isn't there to support him. He's a strong member of the community, capable member of the community, a family man raising a family with Christian principles. I don't necessarily agree with their religion, but I believe they have values that are aligned with me, especially when it comes to building a nuclear family and creating high trust relationships. And the only reason that could happen was because there was no community there to support him, to back him up, to go and get his daughter out of Child Protective Services when he made the call. Help. Somebody help me. And he was alone against that behemoth force that nobody stands up against, when the only way that that force can be reckoned with is by simply not complying. No, I don't want to sign up for your census. Why? Because your forces, your agents of force, took my neighbor's daughter away from him. That's why.
It also sounds like, Audrey Lynn, that if you're going to stand up to this, of course we choose our battles. What are we, and we're aware of consequences of what the system is. We're not in an illusion about it. So to me, them not knowing there isn't a law is their ignorance. And like Paul said, they all think they have the law behind them. But when you go to court, isn't it true, Paul, that the judge would know that, because now it becomes public. And if you rule on it in any way, you're going to set a precedent.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be reviewed and challenged legally. I don't know anything. I have not been through this, Paul. You've been through this, I'm sure. I started a union where I worked and met forces that did not want a union because of financial and just the inculcation of the AFL in it. And I knew that I was not going anywhere in that agency. If I did that, I'm never getting promoted. I'm never getting anything. And that had to be okay with me. And it was, because I didn't want to be part of the administrative anyway. So it wasn't like a big sacrifice on my part. But I think that's what there has to be some kind of knowing what you're dealing with. There's a show here. I don't know if you know of it. It was made in 2011, and it's called Person of Interest, and Ron and I are watching it again. And it is an amazing show about, see, to me, scratch the surface and there's martial law. To me, that's my own experience being in protesting the Vietnam War and seeing guns come out on a college campus. Scratch the surface, martial law. That's what you're going to get. To me, that's a big possibility.
Mm.
So that's my history. So I do lay low. I'm not, but I still did the union thing later. But now I don't know. Do I want to go to jail? I don't know. I don't know if it might come to that. I don't know. Because I'm just going to follow what I need to do in my own life. And that maybe that consequence would diminish, in importance in my life because, for whatever reasons, I don't know.
But
It,
is it you said in your own life, Maureen? And when you said that, I was like, you have kids, you have
right.
grandkids.
That's right.
So it's not only your life, right? It
Yeah.
is the generations. And if we don't stand up now against the tyranny, against all the regulations and the path that it is going down, what are our grandkids gonna, what is the future of the world gonna look like for our grandchildren?
Believe me, that's very much on my, that's one of the little pathways that I go. I'm going to do the best I can. I want to create the world I want to live in. That's where I want. That's the PMA to me. That's coming and meeting with you guys. That's meeting with listening circle. That's doing, the whole dragon riders kind of thing. Another thing is like, I want to let you know how impactful it is having the Four Eyes Potato Club because I'm still like getting the reverberation of that kind of support for planting here and having food. You said the words food sovereignty, Paul. And it's like, yes, that's what I want. I want to do that as much as I can. If I have a willful action, that's where my passion is. And I can't control all of that, but I'm going to live in my passion as much as I can. And that's my thing. It may be for you to fight. I've done that. Right now, that's not my instructions. That's not where my passion is.
So
But
more, so
go ahead.
Maureen, what if they're regulating some of the food production that you do personally here, right? So it's not necessarily a fight. And we were talking about boundaries before, right? It's like they're crossing our boundaries for food, our boundaries to live our own lives. Like they're crossing our boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we not, in quotations, fight against that, but yet let them know that they're not allowed to cross those boundaries?
I'm of the mind that we have to go back to remembering that they actually cannot have laws that go against the laws of nature. That's why they come up with their legalese, saying things like, if you refuse to sign this paper, we can fine you $500. Do you consent to refuse? Right? And standing your ground and saying, no, I'm not refusing. I'm asking, where's the law that says I must? Because that's what they can't produce. They can produce the legislation that they can fine you. But of course, you just have to say the word. Do you refuse? And they ask it, and with anticipation, even excitement, because then their job is done. There, another one marked off, that got another checkbox. Yay. That's all they're trying to do. And so it boils down to, no. Show me the law that says I must. And, when it comes to growing things, show me the law that says I can't grow that.
Paul, and that's the frequency I'm talking about.
Mhm.
That's not, that's where my energy is going now. Before in my life, that did not happen. I was like, I'm going to fight them, fuck you, you're not going to do that to me, and that kind of thing. And I wasn't real angry because I know it's not their fault. It's just the system. And I remember walking down to the board of supervisors in our county and saying, this is what we want. And they're going, well, it's never been done before. I said, but that's not the point. The point is right now. What do you feel right now? Not what hasn't been done before, and not what will happen in the future. But anyway, just there was something about not pushing against them. It was like just saying, right now, could this happen and could you agree? And it was like this of not giving my consent to their argument in a sense. And I think that's a higher frequency. And that's what I mean. Thank you, because that's a manifestation of a higher frequency is show me the law. I'm not going to be unlawful. It's that lawful non-compliance. It's a Gandhi thing, maybe. And it's peaceful. It's peaceful in here is where it's peaceful.
And what we're experiencing with the census is very minor. We go back to Lethbridge, or we go to Britain, where people are being raped, where children are not safe. You know, I grew up in a time where my mom and dad lost me at a hockey game once. And when they found me again, they were like, "Oh man, that was crazy. Where were you?" Today, you can't go through that and expect good things. Even if it's not at a hockey game, that area of town, you don't go there if you're under the age of 18 by yourself. We are in a world now that is quickly changing, and we have to be mindful. And I've been saying this for a while. I haven't had the physical capacities to train for this, but that we must explore the need for self-defense in some way, shape, or form. And that I think that it would be important for especially those who have young families, where the fathers start learning how to defend, because there's going to be a time where either the police are going to ignore you, or they are going to be too busy dealing with all kinds of other violence that they will not respond to your call.
There's a guy in Living Streams, an older gentleman, who is going to teach a self-defense course
Good.
within Living Streams.
That makes so much sense. Even just in your sense fear level, that I just say, well, I'll just die. Like there's a walkout here. We have to leave this area, with no vehicles or anything. And I'd be walking, and I think, I don't think Ron and I would make it. And I joke about it, but it doesn't seem like because right now I can't defend myself at all. If somebody came and attacked me, they,
Mm-hmm.
So
Zoa, go ahead.
It's interesting. It's quite a while ago, but I did very intense self-defense training. Days with guys that were all padded up. So we did simulations, and this isn't to minimize the danger or anything, but so much of it is awareness. I'm not sure how this applies to like dealing with law enforcement at your door. Because that's, at that point, it's just pretty fucked up, right? But But I'm just saying, when you say you can't defend yourself, Maureen, so much of it is being aware of the energy of what's happening around you and getting out of there. I mean, so I'm not sure, when it's your own home, but we learned to fight in a strategic and a timely, like not playing your cards, but so much of it was just two things. One, undoing the conditioning, the female conditioning of just going into a submission, or the male conditioning, which is like getting territorial and maybe even escalating a situation. So one of it's, so I was going to say there's three things. Situational awareness is just, it's so significant. And then also just the embodiment that we're talking about, this process of more sovereignty, of understanding, like, that there are boundaries, just the things that we talk about here. There's ways that you two are already have shifted something. Maybe they're still coming to your door, but like you've had encounters and conversations that were not compliant, they were not just going along. I'm not putting this forth as an answer. It's, there are situations, I dealt with a carjacking attempt 3 years ago. There's situations where it's like, oh, this is just bad. But I want to just, I guess, highlight also the spectrum, the range that comes into that of like, there's a lot of situations that you can go, oh man, something's not right here. Women have been conditioned to apologize for making somebody feel like maybe they're on the wrong track. There's just, I'm not speaking very well, but it feels like so much of it is resonant with the things that we're learning here in terms of grounding ourselves in the law, in natural law.
Please continue speaking, Zoa. You're doing beautifully.
Thank you. I feel all kind of inside. Like, now it's been a long time since I did that physical training, and it is supposed to come back. Like, we learned to, part of it was learning how to deal when you're in a high adrenaline. Like, this is not karate class. This is like under assault, and your fight or flight kicks in, and like how to function, what to focus on, how to tune out the words, because there's a lot of domination by words or voice that happens, especially in the predatorial. So women end up dealing more with predatorial. So it's been probably now it's like 26 years since I've had that training. So it's like I feel like I should have that physical training again, and I don't have the stomach for it that I had at the time. At the time, my desperation outweighed my resistance or not wanting to do it. It took me a long, long time to get to it, and then I worked on it for like a few years, and so I don't feel equipped so much physically anymore. But man, am I like heightened awareness when things are off. I mean, even I learned from a guy that was I may not remember I don't know if he was a Navy SEAL or so someone that had done a lot of high stress situations. And what is my point? A lot of the training was putting in this fighting spirit, which is like, and especially for women, it's like, I will fight until 10 minutes after I'm dead. That kind of, like, we haven't learned to fight for ourselves. People will fight, you know, a lot of with the women, he would tap into this mama bear protecting your kids, but like do that for yourself, because that is also protecting your kids. But so here you have this guy who's well trained and stuff, and he's like, if you can get away, go away, you know, keep the distance, get away. There's no, the best thing is to avoid those physical. And I know this doesn't, I don't know how this applies to dealing with authority figures. That's where my brain just kind of goes, you know, and we've had many instances here in Minnesota. You know, we've had people.
I think so. Maybe how your training might serve you in dealing with authority figures is remembering that those authority figures, they're people too,
right?
And that you know what is right within yourself within that situation, and your situational awareness is, I think, a great protector. That where you know your physical situation at the present, and having that situational awareness is so valuable, so that you can modify where you are or what's going on. I too took a self-defense course a billion years ago, and the trainer there said something very similar. First of all, if a knife comes out, just know you're going to get cut, and get away as quickly as you possibly can. Don't stand around talking, arguing, fighting back. Just get away. And so when it comes to these census people and this authority and looking at what the potential next steps are, it's remembering I'm simply waiting to have my question answered. And we have expressed quite clearly that we are happy and eager to fill out this census as soon as you can show me where we are required to participate. Because the act doesn't say that we're required. It says that if we refuse, then there's a problem. So, and
Right.
this will go to the degree that it goes to, and I don't like it. It feels pressurizing. I feel like I'm becoming paranoid, and I dislike it a lot.
You know, Audrey Lynn, I just want you to know that what you're going through in our system with being involved with Jacqueline Hobbs is called purification. All of the images that are coming to you, all the predator images, all the I'm not safe, or all the whatever the extremes of being vulnerable to a higher authority that doesn't have goodwill towards you, they're not operating in goodwill. All of that's coming up. I want you to know the value of that. You're bringing awareness to it. You're being present with it. And in that in itself, and expressing it to others, like this is the way, you know, I'm feeling the energy of this carries all of this baggage with it. So I want you to know that for me is valuable. Now, I don't know if you can see value in that, but that purification process that we naturally do is valuable because it helps everybody on a fractal level. On a very,
I recognize that there are lessons to be learned here. I'm simply tired.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that? You're also purifying in that. You need to rest. You know, you need to, that's a message. Yeah, I'm tired. Fucking right, you're tired, you know?
That's what they're counting on, though, is those who know that what they're doing is wrong, and that even to express that our boundaries are being hit is tiring. They're expecting us to be tired. They're counting on us to be tired, to not push back, to not say, no, you're hitting a boundary. Right? That they've made it so that we're so tired of having to say, what the heck are you doing? That's hitting a boundary. That's hitting a natural law that can't be changed, right? Like, that's the thing, is we're all so tired of going, what the hell are you guys doing now? Oh, it's a pandemic. Oh, it's another law. Oh, it's a census. Oh, it's a right? They just keep giving it to us. So how can we not be tired, but yet we still have to push back on what they're pushing on us?
I can just, like, this is what Dragon Riders is about. The community, the mycelium network.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, because bracing and hyper alert takes a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
When your body can be at ease and let all that go and just receive the support of your mycelium network, because we are supporting you even in these awkward ways of whatever I'm saying. I want to say, oh, Audrey Lynn, let me hug you. Let me give you some energy to do whatever your system needs to do. You know, let me love you in a way. And it was awkward in whatever stories I told her, but in the essence of it is, can you receive that energy to bring you ease in this situation? How can you do that? Whatever way, maybe it's walking in the forest. You know, whatever way it is, how can you stop the energy drain? And there's other stories about people actually doing this so that they can feed off of you and the emotions that you have. I mean, they have stories about that and how that might be energy depleting as well, and how they can take you over. Anyway, whatever, I just want you to know that's where community, and Paul, you were saying that the community is essential.
Mm-hmm.
So but receiving love, do you know the universe loves you? That was one of the big questions. Can I actually feel that? And right now in your situation, it would be you're depleted. How do you get energy back? You know the ways. I don't know your unique way of doing that, but I just would encourage that you do that.
Yes. Sleep when you're tired.
Mhm.
Recharge. And don't answer the door. If I can come and answer the door, I will. If I can't, don't answer.
See, that's so simple. Don't answer. That is beautiful.
There's no law that requires you to answer their door. And I'll remember to take video this time, or at least an audio recording.
Something.
Don't they have it on the piece of paper? They said, didn't they write a message to you on it? Isn't
Yeah,
that
there
cool?
was on this last notice they left. Yes, they left a notice saying that. Yeah, it's like you must do this. It's the law or else.
See, and to me, that's coercion. I mean,
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
it is. You've got the court. Thank you. You hung yourself. Thank you.
yeah,
Just give them enough rope,
yeah.
right? Because they don't know that. The
Mm-mm.
truth is, they're innocents in this. You know, they don't know.
I want to check in if Audrey Lynn has anything, that needs to be expressed right now. And I also want to thank you for your reflection. And I had an insight when you were giving your reflection to me. So I'd like to share that before we go, but it's not urgent. So there's a lot that's been said, and you guys are in the middle of this. So
I would welcome your reflection.
when I said I don't know how what I learned applies to authority, and then you reflected what you reflected to me, I realized that, like, some of the things that we've learned, maybe not in these calls, but some of it isn't, it's all reinforced by the conversations we have here, is I am much less likely to be treated physically by a police officer, like in my car, let's say that, because I know the distinction of, like, don't deal with this on the street with an officer, get your ticket or whatever, and then deal with it in paper, deal with it in court, deal with it. So I realized that some of the things that we've done have already lowered my chances of, like, being slammed into the police officer. Not guaranteed, but and then I was reflecting on how you guys have already handled this. Like, this already could have escalated. Fuck you, we're not. It's like you'd be in a different place than you are now. And instead, it's like you're holding this line, you're educating, whether they can learn it now or not. It's like you're disturbing the routine, which is interesting. Like, all the workshops that I took about self-defense, and some of them were also more about just dealing with, let's say, the criminal mind. So much of it is breaking up the modus operandi, and it's like, you guys are doing that. It hasn't, this woman hasn't come in a physically violent way, although I consider it violating. You know what I mean? Whether she knows what she's doing or not, it's a violation on your peace, on your space, on your sense of well-being. Anyway, I just really appreciated that reflection, because it's like, oh, I do actually know, like, that's the version of, like, if I'm walking down, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've turned down a street and looked at what's happening in the middle or at the end, and I've literally turned my car and gone another way. Maybe totally unnecessarily, but I don't care. It's like, there's 6 guys and they're in the middle of the road, and there's a car and it's blocked. And it's like, if I go in further, I won't be able to get out. So it was just, and I just realized when you reflected that I have some version of that. And to me, all of this is about just kind of changing the ratios and the percentages. I can't rest in some delusion of guarantee. But I do know not to get into it with a police officer, not to set off their dominance gene or whatever. So I appreciate that. Like, I hadn't connected that at all. Like, I still had this feeling of, like, yeah, but if they're a law enforcement, what the heck? And it's like, oh, let them give you the paper, let them give you the fine, whatever, and then deal with that, after I've, like, been with my community and gotten my nervous system back to some kind of recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
It's so strange when these things that are supposed to be, I mean, there's not supposed to be anything violent about census. You know what I mean? It doesn't present itself that way. It's like, oh no, this is just to find out the information we need about how to allocate the funds. And yet, when you stand your ground, it's clearly a power thing. It's clearly they want their data. And there is a violence in it, behind it. There's a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with taxes. I mean, taxes are not supposed to be violent. It's supposed to be a perfunctory thing. You fill out your forms to the best of your ability, blah, blah, blah. But then they were hiring, or saying that they were going to hire 60,000 agents, and they were training them in using guns. And it's like, yeah, you're not what you're presenting yourself to be. This is not a financial thing. This is a power. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I'm getting a little closer to rambling now, so I'm going to stop. I'll just connect it to the shots as well. Because how many months in the beginning of this, when the vaccines came out, or even before they came out, I was like feeling the, knock at the door kind of fear. And, what are they going to do? Are they going to, and it's all being presented like, this is for your health and and to protect others. It's like, no, it's really clearly not what's going on if you're threatening people that when they don't do it. Blah, blah, blah. And just since these more recent conversations where you've been sharing about being really clear that you're not refusing, realize that I had some, I've gotten kind of in the privacy of my own home. It's like, here's my no, here's my boundary. I'm not doing that. I do not consent. And realizing that that's not the way to language it in these situations. So that has been very, like, I'm recalibrating. But I also just feel really angry that you guys have to deal with this at all. Like, it just.
Well, like you all, I have attempted quite valiantly to stay under the radar, and can't do that now.
Yeah, you're pretty certain that they're even calling you, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In the beginning, they were leaving messages. They're not leaving messages now, and the caller ID sometimes shows Government of Canada. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah,
and my argument is that I was scammed brutally at the beginning of the year, and I don't answer calls unless they are in my contacts.
Oh yeah. Like Paul is saying, there's no law that says you have to pick up your phone.
And yet within the Statistics Act, they do have a bit in there that if I'm reading this correctly and remembering it correctly, that if you act, in their opinion, act avoidant or neglectful or anything along that mindset for not filling this out or not responding to the agent, that they will just they'll fine you. I've been sick. I don't feel well enough to come to the door. Yeah. Anyway, it's
and if it was required by law, this is the other thing. If it was required by law, they wouldn't be coming to your door with paperwork to fill out at the door. They would be coming to you with court orders.
True enough.
But you have been responding to them. You have been asking, where is the law? And they're not responding.
They are the ones who are actually digging their heels in, not complying.
Yes. So you can say that. So you're not complying. Do I get to fine you $500 for not complying to me? And refusing to answer my question. Because they're refusing to answer your question.
Yes, they are.
By avoiding it, like you're saying, right? Avoidance and all of that. They're the ones that need to be fined because they're not complying and getting you the answers you need to be able to fill out the form.
So this brings me back to my original question when the census all started. This whole thing started with the census, is I want to know by whose authority that I'm being called property, because property has to answer questions. Property has to comply with their regulations. So whose property do they think I am? And if that's the case, give me the name, the address, all the vitals. You want my vitals, I want theirs. And I will send them all of my bills and all of my living expenses. Because if I'm somebody's property, they haven't been fucking paying.
Exactly.
And the article that you put into Telegram some time ago about what Statistics Canada does with our data
Mm-hmm.
has just ground my heels in deeper. You're going to sell, I don't care if my data is anonymized. It's still my data.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting paid for something that's not yours.
I would love to have royalties on my data. I don't mind. Go ahead, anonymize my data, but you're paying me for it because it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like that.
No.
Can I just ask a clarifying question?
Mm-hmm.
Because I realize there's something I haven't understood about the situation. So you guys are in the same home. They're not just coming to the household, they're coming to Audrey Lynn specifically and not you, Paul?
Oh no, they're just knocking the door.
But Audrey Lynn's getting calls and stuff, so that's like another.
Somehow
Yeah.
they have attributed my phone number to this residence. Don't know how they did that because they
They probably
the landlord has
contacted.
his number and the landlord has my number. The one thing that I can think of is that intergovernmental communication has said, "Oh, Audrey Lynn's at this address. This is her phone number. We're going to call her."
Yeah. And even though we already have all of her information, all we're after is the compliance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it boils down to. They haven't contacted me directly, but that's because my phone number doesn't go anywhere. That's the only difference. And they can't find that phone number in a listing because it's a private line. Yep.
But they want to know how many people are in that household.
Right.
So
yeah,
if
it's
you
a head
don't-
count. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a head
What
count.
age, what gender, what
Mhm.
ethnicity.
How many
Probably-
rooms are in the residence and how many are used? What's your electricity bill?
They ask that? I don't even
Oh, yeah.
remember.
That's what
One
I've heard in conversation with others.
Yep. There is a school of thought that says, well, you don't have to fill out the whole thing. And it's like, yeah, but the fact that they're asking for all of that is the red flag.
My
There
first
is a
red flag
short
was-
and a long form.
Mm.
Say that again?
There is a short and a long form.
My first red flag was the first piece of mail. It had the name, it had the address on it. It didn't have my name. That is a federal offense to open mail that is not addressed to you.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they change that law.
Mm.
Audrey Lynn, have you written? I guess I'm looking to your nervous system and a way to like close the loop of your nervous system, because that feels that there's some sense of completion when you do that. Maybe writing these things down. I don't know if you've already done that, but that whatever helps you to feel like, oh yeah, that's complete. There's a sense of completeness. So the nervous system isn't always open-ended, because when the nervous system is always open, the body's always looking for things to close it and complete it. So I'm wondering if you've done that, or what helps you to rest with that.
Not very much. Getting my feet on the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Writing things down also helps to take it out of your mind. Somewhat, at least it's supposed to. That might be helpful to do.
Oh,
You'll know right away if it's helpful.
there's actually a wisdom in that. There have been several world leaders, admirable as they may be, who have said that sometimes they have to write the nasty letter, not send it. They just have to write it, and that is what clears their mind. That was what settles it out for them. I have written many nasty letters to the government. There's some catharsis to that.
And physiologically, it completes the cycle, the open cycle of the nervous system. And that can just always keep you alert to, what else is there. And you may say the same thing over and over again, because it helps. I just want to be helpful. If this is, I'll stop talking now.
Animal therapy. Are we all
It
stuck?
occurs to me. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering if we were all stuck because it was very quiet.
Oh, no, we're still here.
Just a quiet moment of, like,
Mm-hmm.
for me, of just feeling the density of, and it feels like part of the challenge is like, how do we operate? How do we function? How do we go through the day when so much we're registering, so much is wrong? Wrong things are being done, wrong powers, wrong. And like that has its own exhaustion and draining. We're built to deal with that in an episodic way. Here comes the tiger, right? Like there's a danger. We're watching for it. We saw it. But this is like this chronic, ongoing.
When will it be over feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, oh, they did this atrocious thing. Oh, but now they're doing something even more atrocious or more deceptive or more. And it's like just how to like that's one of the challenges of being alive in this time. It's an open question for me for sure. Just
Yeah.
and the intent behind it. Like, if a straight line wind comes through and it does damage, or a ice storm or a tornado, it's damaging, it's traumatizing. We lose things. But you don't have this sense of like nature came to get me. It's like nature did what nature's doing. I suppose I could apply that to this thing too. Whatever these agendas and these forces, it's like they're being what they're being. But it's hard not to.
I think that the difference between the experience of nature and those effects are we can see the patterns and we can see the seasonality of them, where they come, they have their effect, and then they go.
Yeah.
With what the world is today, how I see it, is that it is purposefully not having a pattern, or that the pattern is similar but ramped up in different ways to impact different groups at different intensities. And so I find it challenging. I mean, I have stayed out of social media for a very long time, and when I dip into it, it's okay. This is the way the world is right now. Oh my God, what did I do? Oh, I educated myself as to what's going on. That was a bad idea, but it's not a bad idea, because being ignorant, willfully ignorant of situations is dangerous. And yet it is trying to take it in at a level or an amount that is tolerable and then step back out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
yours just is stretching to the point where it's a little bit intolerable. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Or maybe a lot
A
at
lot.
times.
That's what
Yeah.
when you add in this kind of thing, it's like this is, you're managing yourself around social media and news and things like that, what kind of people you hang around with. But then these people, and then you just went through that whole thing with the gold in the bank and stuff. And it's just,
Yeah, thank you for remembering that. Yeah, it's
I-
been a year.
has it been that long? Oh my God.
It's been 7 months.
Which isn't really a break, It's like, I don't know when the census thing started, but it's like feels like there's overlap.
Yep. Census thing started about April.
And I know, like, for myself, I already come from a nervous system on alert all the time kind of formative life. So when something like, hard for me to know how to relax when something is feeling targeted like that. It just, boy, that's.
Do your rescue remedies help, like, calm that down a little bit? Or
Yeah, the Perlandra stuff does. I need to order some more because I'm out. Yeah.
I think this is where the supplemental kind of way with people, and you'll be able to sense when you're in this heightened sense who is calming on you and who isn't. You'll be able to tap into that, and really just drinking freely, from that source, whatever that source is for you. I remember I was going through some horrible stuff, and I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I'd actually leave the house and I'd go out to a coffee. This is when I could drink coffee in the middle of the night. It wouldn't matter if I went back to sleep, but I would go back. I'd go to Sambo's. It was like old chain of coffee shops. And I would go there and I'd just sit and I'd kind of like scan the room in a way. And I'd find somebody who was loving.
Hmm.
And I'd just drink freely from their frequency. And then it would calm me down. And then I could go back home and go back to sleep, actually, even. So it was so disturbing. I couldn't even stay in the house. It was so disturbing. But I know that feeling, and I know you're sensitive like that. You know what gives you love or energy. You can call it whatever you life force energy. Like whoever is such a fountain that they're not going to miss it. They're out giving it to the world, and there they are, and you can just drink freely. And on the grass, the earth is like that. The sunset's like that. And those are the things. Early morning light is like that. Sometimes when I open the door and the sun hits me and it hits my skin and it feels so wonderful warm, just that right there, that I drink freely from. There's nothing you can do about what's happening right now. It's at your doorstep and you see it. It's an ugly monster. It is. But you can do something about these other things.
Thank you for that, Maureen.
something that I feel prompted to show gratitude for all of you. This is community too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Audrey Lynn, for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always easy to share what's vulnerable to you, and I applaud you, and I thank you for that. Zoa, Maureen, and Audrey, you all have been so encouraging.
We know this place. I know this place. And I'm grateful to be nourished from this place, from all of you as well. Because it's drinking freely from, what's this journey all about? The truth of it.
We were reading in the Colburn this morning. It described humanity as a grain of dust tossed by a whirlwind. And that's so true. And then, moment to moment, doesn't necessarily make it easier to deal with, but it certainly can bring peace. Especially, when you remember you don't have to answer the door. I'll take care of them. I actually look forward to it. When they come up next time, I'm going to step outside and I'm going to sit on the stairwell, on the front step. I'm going to sit.
Is that offer for all of us, Paul? I'm going to remember that.
Well, again, I'll tell them, look,
I'm kidding.
I'm just going to tell them, look, I want to hear more about why it is that you think that I have to fill it out. And I've got the Statistics Act here. We can go through it together and you can show me what law are you relying upon to tell me that I must fill this out. And we'll go through it together.
Did they come in your house before?
No. Just opening the door, speaking
Okay.
through the threshold, yeah.
Okay, but you're saying I'm going to step out of that threshold.
Yeah.
Just keep that clearer. It's like, no, you're not even.
I'm not speaking to you through the door. I'm coming outside.
Right.
Yep.
I get it. It does feel quite different, actually.
You're entering their world in a way.
Correct.
You know,
Yes, right.
although it's still your property.
With curiosity.
Yeah.
With curiosity.
Yeah.
Well, especially if they're saying it's the law.
No problem. We'll do it.
Why
You
is
got to
that?
show me the law.
But I mean, for them to literally say in writing, it's the law.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then where is that fucking law?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I find it? Why can't you seem to find it to show it to me?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not even, with the mandates, they just said it's a mandate like that meant it was a law, and people would equate those. But they're literally saying it's the law when it isn't.
Then they use the excuse that they're only, a worker for $15.
Yeah, and that's great. Go get your supervisor and tell them to bring the law with them next time.
Mm-hmm. And not just put a note on the front of my door.
Yeah.
That's a coward way.
Oh, yeah, we know full well. Yesterday we were very coherent. They've been knocking on the door. And was it Friday, I think it was, they went during market analysis, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did it. They knocked on the door, and that's when they left a piece of paper. But they knock hard because we literally have a little black marker ink on the door. Knock hard. because we can't hear it because it's the way the door is built. So they knock hard, and we can hear it throughout the house. They did not knock yesterday. They only left that note and wrote it down with pen that it was the law. Yeah, they didn't even have the guts.
Oh, it's
to-
not printed. They wrote that in pen.
Yep.
Okay, that feels a little different. I thought they were literally, so somebody's regurgitating their understanding
Yep.
of what their job is, basically.
They have not sent a supervisor yet. They
Right.
have only been sending the door knockers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes more sense to me. I thought you were getting some printed thing saying it's the law, and it's like,
No.
okay, take that to the office and say where. Well, don't take it to the office. Make them come. It just.
But I'm just noticing how easy it is to slip into anger.
Oh yeah.
And for me, it would be the test for me as I'm living this with you is how can I stay centered in cooperative spirit? Show me the law. And as soon as that happens, boy, I'm going to be there filling the whole thing out.
Yeah, I've got the pen ready.
Yeah, it's so easy though to slip into anger and then be aggressive. That would be my challenge, because I noticed that that's one of my first impulses.
Oh yeah. The temptation was great, and Audrey Lynn can attest that when the first lady came and she pointed at the words on the website as law, she first pointed at the word Statistics Act. And I said, yes, that's an act. There's a reason they call it that. It's just an act. She didn't say Statistics Act. The words out of her mouth were statistics law. So she wasn't even referencing the act by its appropriate title, and she was pointing at the website, which is not the law. We pulled out. We said, "Oh, that's okay. We have it here. It's underneath the cheat sheet that we have by the door." We open it up and we say, "Here's the Statistics Act here. We've gone through it and looked. Can you show us?" And she goes, "No, I don't know anything about that." The joy is being able to remain calm. There is joy in that. And Audrey Lynn can attest that the edge of my wrath was brandished a little bit when she said the statistics law.
Well, I also want to make a distinction, Maureen, because now I'm hearing that you're saying in the situation, it's easy to go to anger. But I'm also going, I've had moments here, or maybe a running underlying feeling of anger during this conversation. And that's okay. Like, I'm letting that move through me, right? Like, I'm not going to try and suppress that or not have that. It's like, I am fucking angry that you guys have people showing up at your door for something that's supposed to be so civil. It's just a part of civility or something. And it's like, it's not, it's bullshit. So I'm okay with having that anger come up here among friends. It's not going to create any further trauma for anybody, and that nobody's, it's just us being together. It's like being human. It's just that we do that here so that we're less likely to do it in a situation where it's going to not serve us.
And that's intelligent. That's where it's not suppression, it's intelligence that's operating, because you know what the consequence is going to be. But sometimes you can't help it, and it just like, that would be my test. That would be my test. So I guess just getting very familiar with that, my reaction, like, whoop, all of a sudden, like all the fibers are like the hackles on the dog,
Mhm.
the horse, it's like, that's what I notice. I can notice that about me, is that when I get angry, like that. Because I fought off a group of teenage boys came to attacked my younger brother. He was 7 years younger. And boy, I just went up like a bantam rooster. Not a mother bear, a bantam rooster, because I was like spitting in their face, talking. You touch me, and I'm going to yell rape. Like, and they all said, "Ooh, you know what? We're just going to leave." They were young teenage boys though, so they were just testing their own oats. But that really showed me, you attack somebody. I don't have there's not. I'm just gone in that anger, you know. So anyway, just sharing that, like, to let you know a little story about me and who I can be. I don't know at 82 if I can be that way. It may be slower, in slow motion. You don't dare.
In your own way, you're being like a cheer squad, and that is help.
What is a cheer squad?
You can do it. Yes, good job. You're doing it. Remember to be peaceful. You're doing it.
Well, this
Sock
may
it to
sound-
them nicely, gently. Wring their necks in Christian love.
Sock it to them where they can't react differently.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that came up today was about, caring for our nervous systems. And I live in a sea of open loops. And I'm trying to train myself to find some and close them. And this was when you spoke the other day, Paul, to the metaphor or the analogy of servicing a debt, meaning that we just pay the interest or part of the interest and we don't pay into the principal. So there's no real change. As we've been sitting here, I'm not someone who does mending, but I have been mending. I have been walking for years with this backpack with a split in the side. And then I put a safety pin and then it splits beyond that. And while we've been sitting here, I've been sewing it up and, not with the best thread. I didn't double thread it, but it's just like, hey, it's better than it was. And it's like, I'm closing one little loop for my nervous system, but it's one I see. So it has no consequence. My partner freaks out about it. Things are going to fall out of there. It's like, no, they're within a bag inside of here. They're not going to fall out. So I've been doing that little dance. No, it's fine. It's fine. So now when I pick up my pack, either I'll see that it's fixed and go, or it's the kind of thing where it's like, just because it's not a problem anymore, it's not like nagging. So I might just forget about it entirely and have a little more ease. So it's not changing the world. It's not stopping the census. It's not whatever, but it is going, there's one thing that I won't be looking at going, oh God, I should just do something about
that. Just to caveat on that, remember Marcia said ADHD?
Yeah.
If they do something, she doodles and fills in doodles and all that kind of thing, how that soothes her nervous system. And that it might be that when you meet with people again, I don't know. I just saw you guys all. Maybe Paul, maybe you don't. Your nervous system is pretty comfortable with this kind of confrontation, but to be drawing something or to I don't know what to do, but to think about that. If you do two things, that one thing that really soothes you, maybe even rock your body, or whatever. And
I think knitting. I sense a conflict coming on. Let me get my crochet.
Maybe that's what it did. I don't know. They had the sewing circles. Who knows? The wisdom that has been, that we don't even see, we don't even know.
We'll fight you with beauty and crafts.
Yeah. And kisses. Little soap bubbles come out of my mouth. I don't know. Bubbles. Anyway. Oh, sorry, guys. I got a little bizarro there. Well, I know I wish you totally this battle, I just admire that you're going through it, and people can't stand up in this, and I just it does my heart good to see you standing up, even the extreme discomfort you're going through. So it encourages me that it's not going to be easy, that it's not going to be, and I don't expect it to be. And can I do it? I don't know. I guess that's the question for me, that can I do that? I would like to be able to do that. To have that kind of holding power to what I believe in or what I feel is right.
Market analysis, everyone.
Silver is on sale.
Yeah. The rest will have to wait till Thursday.
Okay.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's Tuesday already. Yeah, that's right. Tomorrow's our day.
Yeah,
Oh, good. About buying silver.
I did come Monday, but because I was in another group, I've been trying to do better at showing up at that. There's groups that I haven't shown up for months ever since I started here. Like I kind of abandoned those other groups. I'm trying to weave them back together, and it goes into that market analysis time. But I did come, but Paul says you guys stopped at 40 minutes and I came at 45. But anyway, I just want you to know that I did make that connection, and I left the thing open, and there's a point where it said 2 people, and I don't know if Maureen, did you check in for a little bit?
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes I've opened the window in multiple times and I'm like, oh, there's somebody else, and it's like, oh, it's actually me. It's another tab. Didn't figure that out for a while. Anyway, I'm very glad to be back in your presence today and to be with you. And also, Maureen and I have been a little further educated about the next step to make the Four Eyes Potato Club more viable. There's just, I'll say for myself, Luddite, but maybe Maureen, you would include yourself in that. There's things that we just didn't understand about what isn't happening or what we need to do and how it's different than something else. So that's moving forward. I just want you to know that that the space for us to play and figure out what we want that to be. It's moving.
I would say that the furniture is being arranged to accommodate more people.
And I actually went there. I thought I hadn't been there, but it must have been when you first opened it. I went and looked at it after some of our conversation, like, okay, I just got to figure out this next cloud thing and what are all these things and blah. But I'm going to be doing stuff on here, so it's worth the learning curve. Part of me just goes, no, I can't do another, and it's like, well, but you're doing it. So I went there, and there was a audio, and I played it, and I thought it was Maureen, and then I realized at the end of the voice it was me. So it's like, well, apparently I have been here at least once, but it was like right at the beginning, like you had opened it, and I just said. It was stupid. I deleted it because I felt embarrassed. It was like 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, why did I think that was either funny or meaningful? Or I don't know. So I have been there once, but now I've been there 2 more times to kind of go, okay, I'm going to get used to coming here. And
well, thank you for that. I need to be that curious and exploratory. And you give me a little courage to do that and a little impetus. So I appreciate that.
And I saw that Paul had posted photos, I'm guessing, from Audrey Lynn and the project that you guys were at.
Yeah.
You had posted some, those are cool. So we can do the asynchronous time where You post when you feel like posting, and other
Yeah.
people read when they feel like reading and respond. And I would also like an opportunity, sometimes to check in verbally. I know we all don't want to like add another whole thing, but like a few minutes here and there, or just there's some things that are so much smoother for me with presence. So I would like to explore that, but not create a whole nother, thing for anybody that doesn't want that. But
No,
anyway,
that's the
moving.
thing, is that it can be pictures, it could be videos, it could be text, it could be, hey, I saw this gardening blog link, here you go. It can be anything that comes up.
Well,
Yeah.
along those lines, and I'm just going to take a few minutes to check in on that, as long as we're all here. And one of
Okay.
the things that it became really important to me is to say something, grow what you eat. Ron and I have been saying that to each other, grow what you eat. And so we're developing, and then we're actually saying, okay, we're going to grow some more cilantro, and we're going to do it sequentially so that we continue to have it throughout the year. Where do we need to plant it? And then, we need to plant it where it's not going to be sunny. So all of those things and all of this is just from the mere presence of having, and I've never even gone into it, but just this kind of like group that we formed, even though it has a life of its own, even though we're not deeply feeding it or anything. I just want you to know that it has an impact on Ron and me and what we're doing here. And so, and as soon as I learn to upload, if I do it a couple of times, then I can start, because I have pictures, I've taken pictures, and now the potato plants, after 2 months, they're starting to fall. So, now I want to take another picture of that, and then I can put in the sequence of, what's happened at various times. And so I will do that again when it all comes together for me to do that.
If you have issues, let me know, because we can do an online tutorial about it.
Let's do it. I'd like to do that. So now where we want to grow onions and garlic, and we're trying to find a place for that to be, because we eat both of those things. And so cilantro, and then tomatoes, of course, we always eat. I'm trying to do that year round. We're trying to figure out a way to do that year round.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my little update. And I hold you guys. I see you, like, I see the little screenshots, but also, your actual being. And there's just a companionship that has been created out of that. And I just want to let you know that. Thank you.
Amazing.
I want to say to a non-gardener, maybe hearing that, I don't know, I'm imagining, who would they go, well, duh, grow what you eat. But it doesn't always work out that way. You get into the garden and you think, oh, I've got to grow some kale, and I've got to do this, and you got to do that. And it's like this year, there's a lot of stuff I'm not growing. And I'm adding more starch and carbohydrates in that interest of the food sovereignty, right? Like, I've always been like, well, not potatoes, because potatoes are cheap. Well, potatoes aren't cheap anymore. And it'd be nice to have some purple ones and red ones and fresh, and I know where they came from, and I know where they've been, and I know how old or young they are. And so, yeah, potatoes. I'm growing squash. I grew them by mistake last year, and I just cooked 7 of them yesterday. Butternut squash. They're not supposed to last till July. I cured them in some way. I think I carried them around in my car for a while or something, and we lost some of them. And there's not 7 left because I grew so many. There's 7 left because we're not in the routine or habit yet of eating them. So it's also grow what you eat, but also eat what you grow. Because I can grow what I eat and then still not eat it.
We found a great YouTube of a vegan 5-star cook. And he taught us we just watched it yesterday, and he taught us how to cut and cook zucchini, but he calls it another name, the French name for
Courgette?
Yes. And he And like I'm preparing those ahead of time and having them for breakfast with eggs over them. It's so good. It's such a good way to eat them. Anyway, yeah. Well, we could talk probably for an hour, but I got to water because it's going to be really hot today. So I need to get out there and finish my watering.
Missed the window. But I'd be interested in the link to that because
I will. I'll
at least
upload that.
theoretically a lot of zucchini at some point. I grew a lot of plants because I want to save seed, and so at least theoretically I will have a lot of zucchini. We'll see what happens.
All right. Okay, I will do that somehow tomorrow. Maybe I can go on to, I've thought when we go on to our meeting tomorrow, I can go to our site before because we have that on our computer, right? So I can go there and I think I can, I don't know. I'm going to have a tutorial on it. I think you put it on. I don't know. I don't want to think about it now. All right. I do need to go. Thank you so much. And, you know, gosh, you guys facing, the man, that's like one of my biggest fears. It wakes me up in the middle of the night. So I'm glad you're doing it. And I want to gain some more strength in that area. Bye-bye, everybody.
You bet. Take care. And I'm ending.